Hello everybody, my name is Patrick Harrion and today we are breaking down our winter weather preview alongside the Dr. Anthony Lupo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's a little warm today for this time of year, but I'm not going to complain. So let's get into the winter weather and hopefully we'll see a turnaround from the dry weather we've been having and at least get some relief from this drought.
I know we spoke last year, and it's crazy how fast that went by. And we talked about how the predictions were last year. How did those predictions compare to what actually happened?
Well, yeah, when you look at the predictions from last year, I think we were forecasting that we were going to be above normal, about 1.5 to 3 degrees. It was actually about 5 degrees above normal. So we weren't bold enough, if you will, but we were in the right direction, just not the right intensity. And that, of course, was driven by a very warm January and February. Precipitation-wise, we were fairly close to what's normal for that time of year. And unfortunately, close was not nearly enough to relieve the 2022 drought. And I think we ended up with about 10 inches of snow, maybe less, which would have been less than the 10 to 15 we forecast. So all in all, it wasn't a bad forecast. We were in the right directions with a lot of things.
And was there any year in particular, any cases that last winter was like?
Well, when you look at it, it was kind of like oh gosh, I would have to go back to the 70s. And of course, not many people are going to remember that. But when you go back to the 70s, there was another triple dip La Nina, and each winter got successively warmer, just like we had last year. So.
No, I've heard it said a few times outside of the university and everything. People talking about El Nino. Is that what people should expect for this winter?
Yes, we should. I mean, El Nino is beginning to set in, or actually it began to set in the spring, and it's getting pretty strong now. There's some folks saying it might be what we call a super El Nino, but at least for now, it's what I call a classic El Nino. And that's where the temperature anomalies for the sea surface are warmest near the coast of South America, Central America, and Mexico.
And when you're out forecasting for this, how do you determine if it's going to be a La Nina or El Nino type winter?
Well, those kind of things we have to wait until the previous summer to see how things are setting up. Transitions are really the hardest thing to forecast. And so once we can establish that it's going in one direction or another, usually by July or August, then we can set up for a nice winter forecast. At least if we want to have a chance of being accurate. You can forecast out longer based on how the El Nino and La Nina cycle work typically. But again, if you don't get that transition, you could be totally off.
And when we started looking into now this winter, and we talked about just earlier how we were just a little short on precipitation. Should we expect more this winter, or?
Yes, typically with these classic El Ninos, or what I referred to as a classic El Nino, you set up a jet stream across the southern tier of states in the USA, and they tend to be wetter than normal. And if some of that moisture would extend a little farther to the north, say in mid-Missouri, then we could certainly be wetter around here. Usually the southern part of the state will be a little wetter.
I know heading into the winter already, we've looked at drought monitors and how the state itself is doing with some areas here in mid-Missouri and that exceptional drought range. With more winter precipitation, that should help a lot in comparison to how it was last year.
Absolutely, it should help because in the wintertime you're less likely to lose it due to evaporation. And the best of all possible worlds is to get a nice heavy snow and have it melt into the ground without too much runoff loss. So if you think that a big snow might be a little inconveniencing, around here a big snow might be very helpful for breaking the drought.
And now looking more into this winter, we talked about precipitation. Just a little, do you have like a kind of ballpark estimate on how much we could see?
Yeah, typically our area sees about a little over 5 inches of precipitation in the December to February time period. I'm thinking we're going to get around 6 or 7 inches. That would be typical for a classic El Nino.
Okay, and now with temperatures, I know we've been dealing with, it was a lot warmer, but we still had those flashes of coldness like we usually do here in mid-Missouri. I know up north where I'm from in Chicago, we do like to get those polar vortexes, as I like to call it, and more of a buzzword type thing there. Are we going to expect more now cooler temperatures in comparison to last year?
No, I think that with these classic El Ninos, the northern part of Missouri tends to be in that range above normal because the northern tier of states tends to be above normal. And then the southern tier of states tends to be below normal. So you have this almost flip-flop of the anomalies. And here in mid-Missouri, we tend to trend a bit above normal. So I'm thinking in the 1 to 2 degree size for being above normal. So I think about 1 to 2 degrees above normal for mid-Missouri.
Okay, and that would be more in what kind of temperature range is that?
Well, we average close to 32 for the 3 months. So if you take that, we'll probably average around 34. And of course, that's a little bit above what we consider for snow. But again, if you have the southern jet streak more active and the storm track is more active down south, we'll be on the north end of some storms, and that could bode well for snow.
Now, I know when we look at more winter forecasting, everyone wants to know that big question that rolls around every time December hits, and that is the possibility of a white Christmas. Given how we're having this pattern change, is there a chance that we could have one this year?
Yeah, there's always a chance. I don't know the separation for the statistics between El Nino and La Nina. But what we do know is that in mid-Missouri, we average about 25% of the time with a white Christmas. That translates into about twice a decade. When you go up to northern Missouri, that's about 50% or about once a decade. But in the southern part of the state, it's only 1 in 10 years or once a decade, 10% chance.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to add on your winter forecast?
You know, nothing about the winter forecast, but when you talk about winter weather in general, there's always a chance you're going to get a large storm, even if we do forecast less snow. Power may go out. You may lose your heating. So it's always good to have a winter weather kit prepared, and that means some battery-operated appliances, maybe candles. And in the car, that might mean a small shovel and kitty litter.
All right, well, thank you coming out today, Dr. Lupo. And we'll make sure to talk when spring rolls around and we start talking about summer. Although it feels far away, I know it's going to creep up on us pretty quickly here.
Well, it feels far away, but today feels like summer wants to stay with us. So.
Well, thank you so much for coming out, and I look forward to talking with you when spring rolls around.
Okay, absolutely. We'll do this again.
All right. Thank you for watching, and there is our winter outlook. Make sure to tune in with us back in the spring when we discuss what to expect come the summer. Thank you.